Sam Heughan in Outlander, David BloomerStarz. One of the things Outlander has always done well is to make sure that Claire doesn't have the 20th century advantage. Time and again, she runs up against how hard it is for her to actually be of any use in the past, even with a modern education. There are so many moving parts that even anticipating the outcome is a gamble, and trying to affect the outcome, more often than not, turns her into a Cassandra. This week's episode gives Claire one of her most frustrating challenges yet, trapping her at sea on the porpoise in the midst of a typhoid fever outbreak. Claire's enemies have so often been men with terrible intentions. So, it was a fascinating change to see her struggle against a situation and have those in power wholly support her methods. Yet none of it matters. Sickness doesn't care who's kind. All the medical knowledge of a surgeon's career can't force hygienic equipment into an 18th century boat. Just trying to get sailors to dip their hands in grog to save their own lives is an uphill battle. The sheer helplessness of hundreds of seasoned sailors against a fairly common disease is all the suspense this episode needs. Watching Claire race to save lives before they turn on her is just a bonus. And what a bonus. I complained earlier in the season that the show hadn't adequately conveyed the idea that being a doctor was a real calling for her. We never got that feeling in her 20th century scenes. But there's plenty of it here. Katrina Balfe has to carry this episode, and she does it with aplomb. From handling a ton of medical stage business to Claire's struggle to keep herself together as things start falling apart. David more cannily directs the camera through the bowels of the ship in a way that emphasizes both its tight quarters and its seemingly endless ecosystem. I sympathize with Claire's bafflement here. Heughan, board goat manager, was not something she could have anticipated. With so much time to spend in close quarters, and so much emphasis on Claire's story with almost no Jamie, this new round of characters gets enough breathing room that we connect with them. Annika, the goat manager, turns into a staunch ally for Claire. The young captain Leonard ends up an antagonist while never losing his sense of duty in the face of overwhelming odds. Even the extras at the on-board funeral are well cast, with older, weary faces and younger, overwhelmed ones, making a composite portrait for Claire of the people who stand to die if she can't pull off a miracle. And have you ever met anyone as doomed as the young Elias Pound? Olby Marber. It's immediately clear that this sort of beatific, self-possessed youngster isn't long for this world, yet Marber delivers a performance that skirts any Dickensian flourishes and is simply charming. His quiet death, with Claire standing in as his mother, could easily have seemed forced. Instead, on the heels of Claire's triumph over sickness and Elias's endless, good-natured efforts to assist, we feel the weight of this exhaustion and grief. There, McCreary's mournful score nudges the moment into something genuinely affecting. Things take a turn for the jailbreak once Claire realizes that Jamie is in danger of being arrested under suspicion of murder once he lands. The return of the creme de menthe corpse is a reveal that was probably not intended to be as funny as it ended up being. But the meat of this episode, with Claire's businesslike agonies about an outbreak in which it's impossible to do what's necessary to save everyone, delivers some of the character's best moments of the season. She's spent a lot of her time in the last few episodes reacting to Jamie. By the time she plunges into the nighttime ocean, she seems wholly like herself again. Other gossip. Jamie finally finds someone who's unmoved by his love for Claire. In fact, his rash romantic gesture of trying to take over someone else's ship is rewarded with an entire episode spent in the brig. In a series in which Jamie has gotten seemingly endless cooperation in the name of love, it's very interesting to see his devotion backfire. And as he threatens Fergus to help him stage a mutiny, Fergus, and the audience, starts to see that Jamie is just plain wrong. His strategic short-sightedness is quite a change from his usual cool head under pressure, and it suggests some of the yearning and desperation of the 15 years we never saw. A sailor also threatens to rape Marsali if Fergus dies. In case you were worried we'd go an episode without some of that, as always, any shot of a ship dwarfed in all directions by the open sea is its own horror story. We got more Fergus and Marsali. It's not particularly compelling, but as they seem so far to be mostly a generational placeholder for young love, that's fine. I expect they'll deepen over time, nothing like muddying the waters of a regular intimidation from a crewman by adding the threat of a false rape report. I guess we did not need this Claire. Of all the episodes in which Claire's voiceover feels unnecessary, this is a strong contender for the top of the list. Not only does it not illuminate any of the events, it detracts from the immediacy they've expertly built everywhere else. I'm definitely getting some booster shots after this episode.